You know, I say it every time, but I really am excited for all of our conversations. And it's real fun when I get to talk to someone that I have been actually listening to his music for a while because he went by his full name, then he dropped it down to just the first name, and now he's, I think, back to his full name, depending on how you see how everything's been stylized. But he's a country artist and songwriter. His new EP, 5 to 9, not 9 to 5, 5 to 9, and we'll get into that. It's set to come out on May 15th. Let's welcome in Styles Haury.
Hey, what's up, Jonathan? How you doing?
I am good. I am good. Now, I've got my normal question I'm going to ask here in a second, but Styles is your first official, that's on the birth certificate, right?
Yes, sir. Named after my dad's best buddy in the Navy.
I love it. How often do people say, I don't believe you, or get all the names wrong?
All the time, every day.
So you've been used to that your whole life then.
Absolutely. Yep. Yep. It just kind of comes with it.
Well, you make some good music, so hopefully people will begin to get it right more often than not. But this is Bar Conversations. I know you're not a big drinker, but I assume you enjoy some type of drink. So, what is your go-to drink these days? I mean, is it coffee? What is it?
Yeah. So that's what I'm drinking right now. Is coffee. Having three rascals here at the house. I got three kids, a 1 year old, a 3 year old, and a 4 year old, and
Ooh.
yeah. So coffee's my best friend over here.
Yeah. So, I mean, how often do you get to sleep? Is that why you get all the coffee?
Well, I was up at 4:30 a.m. this morning to go chase turkeys with some buddies. So I don't know. Last night I got about 4.5 hours, and I would say on a good night I get about six.
So you put the coffee to good use then.
Absolutely, man. Zen and coffee. And in 5 to 9, we talk about the Zen and we talk about the coffee, and that's what we're running on these days.
I was gonna say we'll get it to the 5 to 9 because I feel like a lot of life is in that one. I know you're also from Ohio, Northeast Ohio, Medina, um, but I don't have anything from up there that I would normally drink. But I got a little Columbus whiskey, a little
Mm,
Midwest, so that's what we're gonna have
mm,
tonight.
nice. I got some family in Columbus, actually.
See, I knew what I was doing.
I love it, man. No, I love the Columbus area. Something really interesting too is growing up, and I still do it here in Nashville. I take my kids, Stetson, my middle child, she's 3, and my other daughter, River, she's 4, but about to be 5. I skateboarded a lot as a kid, skating ramps, vert ramps, and that kind of thing. So we go here, and I teach them how to skateboard here in Nashville, and but when I think of Columbus, I think about all the skate parks and stuff I used to go to around there. So that's pretty cool.
Well, I saw the video. I mean, you managed to not break any bones, which is a good thing, right? I
Oh,
mean,
that's a plus. Yes. Yes. And I'll say too, like, when growing up, you're in high school, whatever, and you're skateboarding. And then now I'm in my early 30s, and um, it hurts a lot more. And I've
I was gonna say
heard, it gets worse, right? I mean,
as someone who's in his late 30s, yeah, it doesn't get any better. Mm-mm. Nope.
yeah, like I mean, that's what everybody's saying when you get to 40 or 50 or even 60s, you're not going to bounce back as easy.
But that's still a little ways away. Now you also mentioned, you got up, you were out chasing those turkeys, so that early wake up call was on you this time.
I
But
know,
you
I
enjoy the
know.
outdoors. You enjoy the outdoors, and that even includes the golf course, where I saw you spend maybe a little too much time there as well in the woods.
Yes, I do. I just got into golfing. I really love it. It was super fun every time I go. But the issue is, I spend my most time in the woods or looking for the ball more than playing. But um, I'm getting better. I'm getting better. I go to Top Golf and stuff, try to practice some swings. We do some other simulators and stuff. Yeah, it's a tough one.
I was gonna say that doesn't sound like you got the three kids at home. You got the music thing. I don't feel like, as a golfer, I love golf. At times, it's not the most relaxing thing to do out there.
Oh, dude, it's extremely stressful. But I played in Sean Parr's celebrity golf event, and there was a bunch of amazing people out there. Like I know Shea Mooney was out there, Brett Young. Um, I was with Tucker Bethard and uh, some others, and my buddy Aaron. And there's just so many great people out there. But yeah, I got to see what real golfing was about over there when they do that. And like, I mean, I felt bad. I apologized right out the gate. I'm like, guys, I really am so sorry I got put on your team. Like, I'm gonna try my best. I will try my best. But I think I had like one beneficial, um, thing happen where they could like play off of where I drove the ball. But that was like the whole time. That's all I got. So.
Hey, one is better than none. One is better than none.
Right, yeah, but that was fun, yeah.
Now, on the outdoorsman side, though, I feel like you're a smidge better than you are on the golf side because you've got a main state record that you had in 2023 with the moose, harvested with a crossbow. So, what's it like being able to go and have a little more success on that side?
Man, it's pretty funny because since I was able to walk, my old man had me in the woods or had a bow in my hand or always teaching me to field the table uh lifestyle. And I just since I was a kid, I got super hooked on it. And when we are talking about the moose, that was actually a pretty like interesting story because I had a buddy of mine, Matt York. He runs a company up there called Back Road Guide Service, and we had went up there hunting for many years for different big game and stuff. And in 2023, he had called me and said, "Hey, man, um, my buddy has cancer, and he got drawn for." A moose tag because it's all lottery. It's like a once in a
Hmm.
lifetime tag to get something like that. And he's like, "Would you?" And it's two people. There's a permittee and a sub permittee because moose are very dangerous and they like to have multiple, hunters on board when you're doing something like that, and you have to have a guide. And so it kind of all worked out where, uh, this gentleman couldn't afford to do the hunt due to the cancer, and I was able to team up with my friends over at 10 Point Crossbows and still be able to take him on the hunt. And we went and we split the meat up between all of our families and stuff, which was pretty cool. And we went out there just trying to harvest a mature bull and make a memory. And I have a record out that I put out last year called God's Grocery Store that I did with Craig Morgan and all that stuff. And I went out there with my old man and my little brother Matt York and uh, a bunch of guys that were able to go up there. I actually took my kids and my wife too. They weren't totally thrilled when they got up to Moose Camp because of the conditions. It's not like some luxury situation, but they made the most of it and they love the outdoors and stuff too. But we uh, we just went into the woods trying to harvest a mature bull and ended up harvesting the new state record and did not know that. I remember the first bull that came in, we were all like, dude, we were freaking out because like, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, we had contemplated like, are we gonna harvest this one? Now, never forget my dad saying like, if you harvest this bull, you will be in the little bull club for the rest of your life. He was busting my chops, basically saying like right over my shoulder too. And so that bull came into like 15 yards. And that's the first time I had ever been up close and personal with the moose in the hunting thing. And that was super interesting because most animals, I feel like, when you're on the hunt, they're pretty skittish, they're pretty scared of you. Moose, opposite. They walk right to you, which is really and I was thinking before I went out there, I was like, you know what? Like something goes, crazy out there. I'll just scale a tree or something, like no problem. We got out there, there's no trees to scale. You're like in these clear cuts, these logging clear cuts, and the only thing I could stand behind was like a 4 foot pine tree. And I mean, if that thing changed its mind, I mean, we were toast. I mean, that would have been crazy. So yeah, it just that was crazy experience, and honestly a hunt of a lifetime, and it was pretty cool because I feel like that really pushed me further into the outdoor world to go along with God's grocery store and my brand and the music. So pretty cool stuff. Yeah.
It's amazing how some things just line up, and for you on the music side, things kind of lined up where I think maybe the spark there came from watching a band practice in your dad's shop. So your dad's kind of everywhere, it seems. Is that, and you got a drum kit out of it too, as right when you were like 8, band stopping in the shop, drum kit, all the things.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. My mom was a stay-at-home mom and was able to, you know, uh had me in baseball and all the stuff. My dad was always he was working 24/7. He had a mechanical contracting company. He was just, and then now being older, when you look through that lens a little different, it's pretty crazy because you're like trying to do it yourself and you're like, wow, he was working his tail feather off to try to keep the lights and the diapers on and doing the thing. But while he had that shop, there was a country band that he would let rehearse in there. And I just remember being starry eyed going out there, listening to these guys play. And my dad rebuilt the motor on the guy's name is Van, the drummer for the band. And he rebuilt the motor on one of his think it was a Camaro or a Chevelle, and as a gift, like he had bought me a drum kit for doing my because my dad was just doing it to help him, and ended up buying me a drum kit out of the deal, and it was crazy. That definitely lit the spark. My dad was not too thrilled because we were making a lot of noise all the time. I remember having a microphone taped to the corner of a wall, like we're like an actual corner. We would duct tape the microphone, run it through this little like karaoke thing. One guy on drums, and what's crazy is my rhythm guitar player Dan Inman. He still plays with me now. While we're doing all this stuff, we were actually friends in kindergarten. We formed our first band together in fourth grade, and he was on guitar and he was singing at the time. His brother Stefan was on bass, and I was wailing on the drums, and we were playing AC/DC to Green Day to Blink 182 to mostly, I feel like we did a lot of AC/DC, Weezer. I mean, we were doing all kinds of that kind of stuff. And then what happened is his mom, Dan's mom, managed a bar. And every now and then on the weekends, they would let us, and in fourth, fifth, and sixth grade, we had no business being in this bar. We'd go in there and rock out for people. And they would go crazy. It was super fun. We sounded horrible, but it was like they just drank to it and had a good time, and it was a thing. And that really totally kind of wove the thread for us to like get the start. That's where we got the bug at first, and it was cool.
I mean, not too many people get to experience that. And you talk about a lot of the rock. I mean, what music did you grow up on, or still to this day has made an impact on you? Because I heard a lot of rock, but I mean, you're kind of in the country realm these days. So,
Yes, yes. So I grew up on AC, like rock and roll and country. I just remember being in my dad's shop, and he had Brooks and Dunn and Kenny Chesney and Tim McGraw and George Strait, Alan Jackson, all that blaring all the time, right? Tracy Bird, which is full circle because Tracy Bird was singing on the Hunt with me on God's Grocery Store Aisle One, which was so cool. And it's cool. And then the influence of ACDC. Um, I was obsessed with that. All the like from the earlier Bon Scott stuff to when Brian Johnson came in. I remember my mom and dad tell me about like all the different records and Hell's Bells, why and then later to find out my manager, Chris Rochester, was like, hey, did you ever wonder why the Hell's Bells intro was so long? And I was like, I guess no. Why? Why is that like so long? And he said, well, that was like the first time that the world was going to hear Brian Johnson uh, after Bon Scott had passed, and they would just add in each instrument time by time, and it just like built up all that anticipation. I just learned that like a couple months ago from Chris, and I was like, "That is that true?" I'm like, "That's crazy, dude! Like that's awesome." So, and to speak of the ACDC thing. Um, pretty crazy because nowadays I'm broke down in my truck. My new single that's out currently right now. I remember working with Phil O'Donnell and Chris DeStefano, and I told Chris DeStefano, I was like, man, I don't know what it is, and this is going to sound crazy, but I just am obsessed with Angus Young's guitar tone. Like, if we could get a little bit of that meat on here somehow. Oh, and he was just like, "Oh, dude, no problem. Here." Did something on his rocket ship looking thing that his studio looks like a rocket ship, and was like, "Here, this is the one he's using. It's actually a British something. I don't even know." But next thing you know, it was like a pinpoint to exactly what it was. I'm like, "Dude, that's epic. Yes, that's what we're looking for, man. That's crazy." So yeah, it's still influencing now in so many different ways, you know.
Well, and then like I said, you also grew up in Ohio, up in the northeastern part. You also spent some time, I think, in North Carolina too. How did all of those different environments shape you, kind of in your music too? Because I'm guessing that had a little bit to do with it as well.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I feel like uh, I spent time in Richlands, North Carolina, which is cool because I still go back there quite a bit. My father-in-law lives in Charlotte, so I get to mosey over that way every now and then when we go to travel, and we still hunt out there and see a lot of the guys that we were stomping around with there growing up. My buddy Gage Robinson, we met in seventh grade there, and we're still friends to this day. He actually sent me a picture of a gobbler that he harvested today. We're all on this turkey expedition that it's going crazy, turkey season cracking open. And but I remember a lot of these. My dad would go take me to these little bonfires with these guys picking banjos and acoustic guitars, and that really influenced more of the country and the picking and the singer songwriter kind of thing. And I would go to these coffee shops around there, and it was just so a different flavor to what I was doing before. And that's when I really switched from the drums to guitar, and uh, picked up the acoustic guitar and started learning that kind of stuff, and then got more into it. And I feel like a lot of that just grassroots kind of stuff came from there. Uh, Super heavily influenced it on the country side of things. And yeah, that just kind of stuck with me.
It's amazing how those little things happen, or well, maybe not little, but how those moments in life happen, those places you are that kind of shape who you end up becoming. And before you went to Nashville, you had a union job as a pipe fitter. What pushed you though? Because clearly the music bug bit you with the forming a band in fourth grade, doing all those things. But obviously, it's a different thing to actually go full time into it and give it a go. What pushed you to finally give it that go?
So, right out of high school, I was doing some college. Um, I was working in a tattoo shop, like apprenticing, trying that because I always had that creative side of me that I was always trying to find, like, where do I fit? And then I found out, that wasn't for me. I liked um, the idea of it, and it just wasn't the right fit. Um, and then I we were doing a little landscaping thing for a while, doing the college thing, and then I remember my dad saying to me, "All right, man, look, here's the deal. If you're living here, you ain't living here for free. You're gonna get a job, and you're gonna like this bouncing around stuff. Like you either gonna go to school full time, or you're gonna join the military, or you're gonna do that." And so I'm like looking at all these things, and I was like, "All right, I guess I'll join the pipe fitting union," because growing up, I spent so much time wrenching with my dad and stuff. I knew how to run the threader. My dad was always like, "Hey, if I wanted something, I had to go work." And, then, "Oh yeah, here, now you can go get this," once I racked up enough hours. And I still remember one of the guys that worked for my dad, his name is Big Chris. We're still friends with him to this day. He was running, he was welding some pipe. He was running like a root and a cap, like, stick welding. And I'll never forget. I had to be like, shoot, 16 or something. And he said, "Man, listen, Styles, if I could give you any advice, do not work with your back. Do not do this. Get out while you can." And and that was always rolling around in my head. He's like, "Work with your brain, not your back, man." And that I felt like that was solid advice looking back. I'm like, wow, he was trying to give me some honest advice. And so I went into the pipe fitting union, did that for a little while, and I ended up it was actually interesting. I ended up, actually getting cut by this like pipe up in the ceiling, and it put me in the hospital for a little bit. Like they're running infection tests and everything, and it was just kind of turned into a little bit of a mess. And then I would always hear they would always have this little, we all brought our lunch, and there was this little boom box. They would always bring these little DeWalt boom boxes rolling, and there was just every time they were playing music, and I'm in there wrenching. It just kept pulling me towards it. Like seriously, like that sounds almost crazy, but I was like, every time I'd hear that radio go, what am I doing? What am I doing? I should be playing music. And I was always contradicting myself, like, what man, like there's something more, something's missing, right? So yeah, so I ended up quitting that. And then, then heat grew at my house because my old man's like, dude, you're quitting jobs. Like, this isn't going to fly. Like, it was not good. And so then started the landscaping thing back up, went back full at that, and then started a country band. And we started playing all this stuff around the locally. And there was a battle of the bands that was happening at the Thirsty Cowboy in Medina. And we ended up winning the battle of the bands, and that got us an opening slot on Country Jam. And I opened for Jake Owen, believe it or not. And later to become friends and work with them at some capacity now, which was crazy. Um, so that was like kind of like a huge thing for us, and that kind of got it rolling. And then um, every time I would meet with anybody that was from Nashville, everybody was telling me, you got to be in Nashville, got to be in Nashville, got to be in Nashville. And I met this guy at a show. He was from Pennsylvania. His name was James Kelly, and they come over and they were filming stuff. We were writing some songs, and I was getting a taste for it a little bit. I was like, oh my goodness, it's crazy. And he invited me out to PA, and he said, hey, my buddy Rob Snyder is a big songwriter in Nashville. And this was before she got the best of me, and a lot of his other amazing stuff. But he was, doing the thing, and so I got to meet with him. We wrote a song called "What's on Your Mind" that I put out a long time ago. I remember got the idea off of Facebook, where it says that on the every time you open it, it says "What's on your mind," and like we just turned that into a song, and it was cool. We wrote it in his I think his mom's kitchen or something. And I remember Snyder telling me, man, look, dude, I ain't gonna sugarcoat it. You got to move to Nashville, man. You got to, if you're serious, you got to move to Nashville. So then that bug got stuck in my head, and then I drove that back to Ohio, and then I'm chewing around on it like, man, I gotta get out of here. I don't got no money, but I gotta get out of here.
Well, and that's where again your dad came through, and I think what he did finally said, "Put up or shut up," and I'm going to help you. And he sold his Corvette. Is that right to get you down there?
Yeah, and I think yeah. So my dad's always been wheeling, dealing, trading stuff, from guns and cars, whatever. I don't know. I feel like every time I talk to him, the story changes. I don't know if it was like the Corvette and the Jeep, or just I don't know. It was something where who knows? I don't know, but I do know he funded my first record in Nashville. And that was, part of the deal was like, hey, I'll fund this, but like if I do this, there's no quitting. Like, you gotta you gotta go for it. And I talked to him about moving to Nashville and doing the thing. And yeah, he's like, yeah, it sounds like you need to start saving up. And so we did as many landscaping jobs as we could. And yeah, ended up moving to Nashville, getting a little condo downtown. And I moved down with my guitar player, uh, my buddy Bruce, and my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time. I convinced her to move to Nashville too, and we all moved into this condo, and it was crazy, but we figured it out, and we never left since. That was almost 9 years ago. So
You're doing something right, and you talk about it's fitting that you talk about how the songwriting session kind of put the bug even further into you, and because I know that's kind of where you found success early on was as a songwriter. You got a number one with Luke Bryan's Country On, different things like that. How did that stuff kind of help keep the career going and change things for you?
so I feel like um, having all of the networking and getting, you know, we have hundreds of songs that are, you know, I don't know, lack of better terms, turds that we have in the archives, plenty of them. I feel like every writer will say that. Like we have plenty that never see the light of day, right? Um, but all those songs, I believe, build towards the craft, and you're learning from veterans, and you're just getting more reps in, you're learning stuff along the way, and you're learning to chase different rabbits when it comes to rhymes, and you're starting to see the picture better in your head when you're writing. And I guess like kind of like a muscle, it just over time it gets stronger when you're working it out, right? So
Hmm.
um and something me and my manager Chris always say is luck is when preparation meets opportunity. All those little seeds that were planted along the way was the preparation, and eventually we ended up, you chop the tree long enough it falls, right? So like we got into the room, and um we had the idea and we do the thing, and it was a crazy time during COVID just trying to write a good song. And fast forward, ends up being Luke Bryan's single on the tour. And um, that was crazy. I mean, that changed my life totally. Like from scratching nickels to being able to really get it going, and helping me get that badge of honor to keep like surviving, and people going, okay, maybe he's on the team. Maybe he is one of the players, like let's go kind of thing. So yeah, that was amazing. I'm so grateful. That's one of the first things I told Luke, and I said, dude, just thanks for uh when I did get the opportunity to meet him, I was like, man, uh, thanks for recording this song. This changed my life. Like, it's put me and my wife, my kids in our first home. And like, this really has helped us a lot, man. So, and he, did the Luke Bryan thing where he gives you a big hug and says a bunch of cool stuff. And it was cool. It was cool.
Well, and you talk about, you're right. I feel like, sometimes you got to get the bad out to get to the good, and you keep building toward everything. But you also have songs that I know you love, but at the same time, when you're working as a songwriter or in those sessions, other people can grab a hold of them if they want, once they hit the publishing company. And one of those songs that was almost recorded by John Party, but you were able to, was "A Man That Didn't Know Nothing." What did it mean when you were able to kind of record that one and actually, have that one come out in the world?
Yeah. So I still hope to this day that he records that song. I'm hoping that he still, records a version. I had some people, around me in the industry really pushing for that. For whatever reason, it didn't end up making the record. Um, for his project, and it was just kind of sitting around. And everybody around us saying like, hey, I think you should put that out. And they emailed and they said, yeah, go ahead, that should be no problem. And we're like, okay, let's do it.
Well, and all of this is leading. Like I said, you got a new project coming out here in May, May 15th, and that is 5 to 9. Like I said, 9 to 5, everyone knows about. But what does the title 5 to 9 represent to you in this stage of life?
Well, I would say right now, we're in build mode. This barn that I'm in, I have a lot of ex-Amish buddies, and they helped me build this little barn man cave studio. And my wife, I on this wall, am I able to move the camera around and maybe show you this
Yeah,
moose?
yeah.
Check this out. So on this wall, my wife doesn't like any of this stuff in the house, and that's the moose up there, which you can see. But so she
Which
does
seems
not.
fair.
Well, that was in our kitchen. She's like, this is not working. Like, there'll be big problems with this moose. And I was like, but it's a state record. I don't care. You got a moose in the kitchen. I was like, okay, fair enough, fair enough. Um, so Moses, Peachy, Eli, Sam, Willie, they all ended up helping me build this place and get a spot where I can do stuff like this, because 5 to 9, 9 to 5, doing the music thing keeps the water and the lights on, and keeps us going. We all are doing some sort of 9 to 5, but I feel like 5 to 9 is where dreams are built. It's where families and kids are raised. And That's what, makes dreams, right? So that's the inspiration behind it, and doing stuff like this. And I was actually out here um, with an air nailer at about, it was actually, instead of 5 to 9, it was like 5 to 2 a.m. But I was out here about 1:30 a.m. with up in that upper area with a Pasload nailer, nailing studs in, going, what? Why am I doing this? Questioning myself. And then I was like, well, building the dreams. And then it was like, that night I was just, yeah, they just popped in my head, and I took it over to Chris DeStefano, Lance Miller, and John Knight. And I feel like we wrote it to the wall. Very relatable. So, yeah.
Well, well, I mean, you talk about your families. You got the young ones. You're able to do a lot of fun things, and this is a cool stage of life. And you also mentioned you got to do some fun things with some pretty good producers, Phil O'Donnell, Chris DeStefano on this project. What was it? Because you talked about, I mean, asking Chris the one question, he's like, "Oh yeah, I got that." I mean, what was it like to work with them and learn from them in this process?
Well, what I will definitely say about both of them is they both are two of my main mentors in my life, just in my career in general. Both extremely talented. I mean, they don't like, I don't think they even realize the legends that they are. Uh, and at least in my mind, for sure, because they're just so talented and they're so humble. They got so many accolades and they're so down to earth and so cool, and having fun. That was the biggest thing. It was like we were having fun, and it took me back to like how it was like when we were just jamming in a bedroom almost. Like it's just that magic was there working with those guys. And they don't even second guess stuff. They just it's there's no like how humble, how kind, how talented they are and bringing stuff to life and making sure as the artist you're loving it. Like, is this what you're envisioning? What do we think of this? Do we hate this? Do we love this? Play this. I think this is horrible. And I'm like, I love that. We need to keep that. So it's like a lot of that kind of stuff going on. And, just as friends, I'll say, one really thing cool with I call him Phil O'Donnell. My family and my kids, my wife, have become close with him and his wife Pam. We spend time with them, and Phil has really strengthened my relationship with Jesus tenfold since I met him, which I thought was just an amazing thing for me and my family. I know Phil talks about like a statistic, like, somewhere in the ballpark of like divorce in marriages that don't pray together is like 1 in 3. But like uh, families that do pray together, it's like 1 in 3,000 or something. So it was like stuff like that it's really impacted me and my songwriting and my lifestyle and stuff that is just good stuff. And DeStefano, um, man, he's going back to school right now to be a doctor on top of all this stuff. I'm like, this guy, and I picked up like how dialed they both are. Like very streamlined, very organized, take their schedule very seriously, and their work ethic is unmatched. So I could probably talk about 4.5 hours on this podcast with you about both of those guys. But I feel like in a nutshell, that's Phil, Billy, and DeStefano for you. They're just top notch.
Well, I mean, to have good people in your life makes a big difference, and like you said, you were able to do some cool things on this record. The first track off the EP, as I drop things, is was Boxes, which is talking about checking off life's most important boxes. I mean, what was it about that song that made you want to kind of lead with it, and what was it like writing that? Because you were co-writer on all 6 tracks on this bad boy.
Man, boxes. I remember talking with Casey Beathard on the phone about the title, and it was just he is. I mean, he's a legend. He's a Hall of Famer. When I remember, I was just talking to him about all the different stuff in life, this and that, And I had this idea called boxes. And then he said he switched it to boxes I've been checking. And I'm like, oh my goodness, that's it. That's exactly what I was trying to say. And I feel like that song is I hope I hope it relates to so many people because we're all out there just trying to do what we got to get done. Like every day we got to do what we got to do, whether it's a job, we got chores, I mean, there's bajillions of things, mechanical stuff on vehicles, I mean, like cut the grass, do that. I mean, it never ends. It literally, anybody out there that's feeling that way, if you're hearing this and you're out there and you're feeling that way, you are not alone. Just holler at us. Trust me, it's real. And that song just serves as a reminder for people to get out there and go do some living just a little bit. Go have some Groundhog Days. Go do something that just brings you some living. You know what I mean in your life.
Well, and then the second one that you talked about a little bit ago that's out is "Broke Down in My Truck," which was with Pryor Baird when you guys were, I think, both not in maybe the best of places. Again, another song, meeting people where they're at, and why do you think that song connects and resonates with so many people?
Well, I feel like especially for guys too. Nowadays, mental health is a real thing, especially with, I believe, with social media, with just the weight of the world right now. Um, you know, that is kind of where we were hoping to meet people a little bit, open up a vulnerable side that most guys maybe are too tough to sing about or whatever. But, I hear a lot of times from these veteran guys that I try to pick up the crumbs along the way. So hopefully, maybe one day down the line, I can help carry the torch is write what you're living. And that's what me and Pryor were living in that moment. I was going through my dad's accident. He was going through all kinds of family situations as well. I know he had just lost his dog. I mean, there's so many things in his world too that were weighing on both of us. And we just opened up that day and we're like, you know what? We're not going to even like try to write a good song. Let's just be honest today, and let's just pour out our hearts on what we're feeling. And we got to talking like we're talking right now, and Pryor was like, man, I'm down to do that. He goes, man, before I came in here, man, I broke down in my truck. I'm not even gonna lie. I was out there crying, man. I broke down in my truck before I came in here, and I was like, why don't we write that? And he was like, yes. Oh my goodness. Oh my good. Like, yes. And boom. I mean, that song fell out in probably 45 minutes. And we were just like, dude. And then I remember sending it to my manager, Chris, and some other folks, Dave Kelly, some folks that are on our team. And they were like, off a work tape on a phone. It was like not even recorded. They're like, this is it. This is the song. We're like, really? Like seriously? Yeah, so it was just cool. And then to see people resonating with it and getting DMs about things, it's just cool. It's just cool stuff.
Well, and I know other songs on there that people can relate to. I've got a daughter a little bit older than yours. Cinderella story. You got teach them things like that. I mean, those really drive home your the other parts of your life of being a dad and having a family. I mean, how much did your songwriting change when you had kids and had a few more kids and now don't get to sleep ever?
I believe, I think it changed for the better. Like, Phil Vassar, Just Another Day in Paradise. I went back and listened to that song, and that I just can't believe that I never listened to all the lyrics in that. And like, I'd hear it back in the day, whatever, and it kind of just, breezed by. And now every single I'm like, this is my new favorite song. I live in this. I'm living this right now. Like, and I feel like these songs kind of are inspired by those type of songs. Also, back to write what you're living. And I know like some guys and some people might not, don't want to do the singing songs about raising kids and doing the thing. But I'm just like in this spot where I'm like, you know what? I just want to be truthful of where I'm at and what I'm doing. And I believe that a lot of people out there in America are in the same thing. whether it's
Hmm.
from breaking down in your truck to trying to build the dreams from 5 to 9 and teach them. Like I'm coaching T-ball right now too. It's craziness. We're called the the Juice Box Sluggers. I'm an assistant coach out there, and it's real deal out there. I mean, most of the time we're trying to get the kids not to eat mud, but I mean, besides that, I mean, it's chaos. It's fun. It's a good time. Um, and teach them is like that. It's just it's real. It's what I'm living right now, and that's why I'm so excited about this whole project and the songwriting behind this project continues to evolve with my life, and I feel like a lot of people's lives out there if they're following along on the journey. And man, it's just I know the more I think about it, I'm just like I don't know. I'm proud of the songs. I'm proud of what the messages are on the songs. You know, like we got some meat on the bone, and I just if any of the writers are hearing this that are part of this project, huge thank you because um, they helped bring these songs to life. So many people did, and so many just amazing folks in my corner, and it's just cool. It's cool stuff.
Well, it's a fantastic record, and like I said, I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, Cinderella story. I am seeing myself in that. I got a daughter that loves to dress up, loves to do all the things. I mean,
Yes,
I
we're
totally see
living
it.
that
I
together,
mean,
man. They're in their
exactly, and
princess era.
so I mean, you're not wrong, and it's cool. I mean, for you, obviously, when you're writing songs, you sometimes it's just maybe it's some therapy for you for other things, but when you get to have those folks, like whether it's me saying I see it in Cinderella story, or broke down in my truck, or any of the ones, and I mean, what was that like? Those first moments when people were like, "Man, thank you for saying this," or "Thank you for taking me here," or wherever.
That was like taking a like being outside next to a bonfire and dumping a can of gas on it. For me, it was like that is the coolest thing. Like that is the whole reason we're doing this. Like that reminds me, like, dude, that's why you're writing songs and not being a pipe fitter because we're able to help channel those emotions for people. Like even I had a buddy back home, a buddy back home that was like, dude, he was overseas and he said, your songs got me through. Like I was not doing well, man. And he goes, your songs got me through that. And I was like, wow, dude. I'm like, thank you for sharing that. That is so awesome. And I'm so grateful because I'm like, see, if we can impact people like that, if it takes them to a place, reminds them, gets them out there doing some living, maybe teach them spending time with their kids. Maybe a dad hears this podcast and goes and listens to teach them. And there's like, you know what? I'm going to take my son fishing, or hey, I'm going to go um, you know, to the park with my daughter, or I'm going to go color a picture with my daughter, whatever. You know what I mean? Or t-ball, coach their daughter's t-ball games like me. I mean, uh, that's what it's all about, man. It's like that to me is like pouring a gas can on an open flame, and it just keeps me going.
Well, and you've gotten to do a lot of cool things along the way as well. Last year, you made your debut at the Grand Ole Opry. Got to be in that circle. What was that like?
That was just straight magical, man. I think that was I truly think it was just a God thing because out of all the times I could play the Grand Ole Opry, it was when Mossy Oak was sponsoring the event and there was trees and woods on the back screens as I'm playing. I got to wear camo that Mossy Oak gave me, and I got to play my song "Deer Stand" off of God's Grocery Store that I wrote with Casey Beathard and Phil Billy. And that song, basically, in a nutshell, is just about like even when you're hunting, it's not even about hunting. It's just a place where you can go and think about stuff and clear your mind and hit that reset button and check in on things in your mind. And to be able to sing that at the Grand Ole Opry out of all songs was like the coolest thing for me. I got to bring my kids. I made good friends with Mark Wills. We ended up writing some songs together after that. And I'll never forget in the hallway, he was telling me, he was like, he said my kids were going crazy in there. And I was just kind of like, come on, like this is what it's supposed to be. We're getting pictures. And just like, I was like, you know what? If they judge me, they judge me. My kids are going crazy and they're running around. And it just is what it is. And Mark Wills, he stepped out and he goes, that's how you do it, brother. I'll never forget. I was like, I like that guy. Let's go.
Well, you're making memories, for you, your family, everyone, and You talk about like guys like Mark Wills. You've got to perform and be with like Dwight Yoakam, Darius Rucker, Brantley Gilberts of the world. I mean, it seems like you mentioned all along the way you love picking up little bits of info and knowledge along the way. I mean, what's it like to learn from everyone? Like you said, all those veterans that have done it and kind of been in your shoes before.
So, I feel like every time I get to go out with somebody like that, well, the one thing I was really cool about the Dwight Yoakam show is he signed my mom's T-shirt. My mom's a huge fan of him, so like he signed it really big on back of her T-shirt, which was cool. And I will say Jake Owen. During my dad's accident, he reached out to me when he did not have to, and was a friend to me, and for me to open for him at the very beginning when I won that radio thing in the hometown, to then becoming friends with him and him just being there for me during that time and seeing the other side of the coin a little bit, because he is a veteran and he is very successful and um, inspiring, super inspiring, and stuff that you take with you. Like, wow, man, like he took the time out of his day to check on me. Like that guy did not have to do that. And then I would say also one other thing. I remember I was telling you I'm just was such um, you know, a big fan of ACDC. And one of the things along the way for me is when I had first got my first publishing deal. I was down in Sarasota. My cousin has a place down there, and she was going to chiropractic school in there. And we all went out to grab some dinner. It was me, my wife, just my first child at the time, River, and my cousin, and we were sitting there and I hear this guy behind me talking with a like crazy accent, and I'm like, and I'm looking, and I'm like, I'm doing this, I'm like, okay, I can't be that weird guy, I'm not trying to stare at this guy, but I was like, I was losing my cool, and my wife's like, what is going on? I'm like, I think that is Brian Johnson from ACDC, and this place is empty, and there's just a couple folks behind me, and um I was like losing my marbles, dude. I was going crazy, and I'm searching on Google like pictures of him in public, and I'm like, okay, I found this necklace that he had. I look over and he's got the necklace. I was like, so then I was like, how do I not be the weirdo and like bombard this guy? I don't want to do that. Like, but he's like, I'll never get this opportunity again in my life. And I remember him, and it turns out it was Joe Walsh and some other people, and I didn't know. This is my own ignorance. I was a mega ACDC fan. I didn't ever really listen to the Eagles at all because I was so hyper focused on ACDC. Like, I mean, I knew of them, but I wasn't going to pick out Joe Walsh. I later looked it up because my buddies were saying, dude, do you know who that was? And I'm like, Brian Johnson. He goes, no, that's Joe Walsh. You didn't even say anything to him. And I didn't. I didn't even acknowledge him. I had my back turned to him the whole time. I was like, oh my goodness, like, wow, but so anyways, how I was like, I wanted to say something, but I didn't. I asked the waitress to come over here. I said, hey, would you mind ordering these gentlemen another round of whatever they're drinking? And I remember sitting there, and this is before I had country on or anything, or any success. I was scrapping with nickels, dude. I was like, please don't be a $2,000 bottle of wine. Please don't be a two. That's all I could think is something crazy. And I'm about to. Turns out it got their attention. And he goes, man, we're all finished, but thank you. And I said, and we were able to connect. And I said, man, I wanted to say hi. And I said, and this is how dumb this sounded. I said, man, you look like Brian Johnson from ACDC. I was trying to say, are you? And he goes, yeah, I get that a lot. I'm like, time out. Let me rewind. I literally did that. I was like, let me rewind. Are you Brian Johnson from ACDC? He goes, yes, I am, man. Nice to meet you. And I got to just thank him. I said, dude, thank you for influencing me to the maximum. And then I had my Warner Chappell shirt on by chance. And he goes, do you write music? And he goes, yeah, I was like, yeah, I do country music. He goes, oh, I know Dolly Parton. I'm like, oh my goodness, like this is crazy. So he comes over and he's taking my daughter's hands and dancing with her on the table. And he said, man, I like you, man, this, that, and the third. And he goes, took my receipt He goes, "Here's my number. Call me sometime if you ever want to hear the pitfalls of the music industry." And he signed my receipt, and he said, "Trust your heart, trust your nose, and F it." And he's five-starred me right on the back, dude. Like, I mean, like, and I didn't say a word. I was like, "Thank you, brother." And dude, that was like the highlight of my life for like 6 months. I couldn't stop talking about it. I still have that receipt, by the way. And I never did call the phone number because I was too scared. I'm like, I don't want to bother this guy. But I told the waitress, I was like, "Yeah, I can't give you this receipt. I'm gonna have to keep this one." She goes, "No, no, I get it, I get it." So that was like such a cool moment. And just like you're saying, like guys that inspired me to. I mean, what are the chances of in this gigantic world, somewhere on my path, I got to do that? And again, it was just another reason. It was like, this is what I'm meant to do. I have to do this. This is like something keeps bringing me back. Like, it was crazy. It was just absolutely crazy. So,
Like I said, things happen for a reason, and it's led you to some cool songs, cool places, and we talk about you've been able to write some amazing things. You put out the project, but to me, it's a whole different thing when you bring them to life on stage. For you, what's the best part about getting up there and sharing those songs that way? Because I feel like there's something different about a live performance.
man, I would say the best thing is like with being up there with the band, like you get all, it's just like it has an energy to it. And it also, it just makes me feel good to see like anytime you get a chance to either convert like Dwight Yoakam's fans or other fans of legendary or veteran acts to maybe, hey, check out, I'm the new crop coming up, like, and you can convert fans. I'm like, oh man, this is such a cool opportunity. And then the other time is when you do get people that came out to see you. You're like, yes, that's epic. What'd you think of the show? Like, did you have a good time? Was it worth you taking time out of your day to come out? They're like, oh, absolutely, blah, 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 whatever. So I feel like the energy of the live thing is just, that's pretty unmatched. That's like a whole nother experience. Like, I feel like we do all the other stuff just so we can get to do that. That's like the fun part. You know what I mean? Like all the work is all the other stuff. And then when we finally get to step on the stage, like, okay, that's why we're doing this.
I was gonna say live shows are just pretty special, and I asked you what you're drinking at the beginning, got the coffee to keep you up and going. I love to finish up or at the end ask this one, and it's what is your favorite song of yours to perform live right now?
I would probably say, hmm, I would have to say two. I got two right now that I love. Um, First one broke down because with my dad's accident, and when I see that song connect with guys, because again, all the tough macho guys out there, when that song hits them in the heart, and they come up, and they usually don't say too much. They just say, "That's a good song, man." And I'm like, "Got you in the heart. That's what that I got you." So I love playing "Broke Down" live, and I also feel like it showcases my voice really well. Oh yeah, yeah. So Cinderella Story and writing it with Rachel Thibodeau and Sean Parr. Rachel being an amazing writer, Sean being like the coolest radio guy, spokesperson of America, auctioneer, the whole bit. This was his first writing session, and when he was telling me at Palm Coast Songwriters Festival last year that his life is like a Cinderella story, and then I went to Disney World right after Palm Coast. And then I was texting him like, man, we should write that. Maybe we could bring in my friend Rachel Thibodeau. And when we got into that, we actually went to Vanderbilt Golf or Legend or it's the Vanderbilt golf play course or whatever. We went up to the upper studio in that area and we got to write this song. And verse one, I'm living that. Verse two, Rachel Thibodeau's living all verse two, 16-year-old punk at the door. And walking her down the aisle, Sean Parr's living that right now. So, like, for that song, for us to all three be living that and that thing come to life like that, every time I play it out, I just see all of our stories and it's just my little girls are in their princess era right now, and I feel like for me at this moment, playing that is just like, again, I'm writing, playing the songs that I'm living currently, and so many people are relating to that song when I play it out live, and that's pretty cool. I feel like either dads having daughters, or if they are a daughter, they're like, that was me and my dad, you know. So that's pretty cool.
Absolutely. I was gonna say. I mean, I see myself in Cinderella's story all the time. I mean, after listening to it, like you said, you can see the stages. What's coming for us? What's coming down the road, which is also kind of scary.
Yeah, right. Yes. Oh, yeah. That's it. I think about that stuff too.
Now you've got the EP
It's
coming
like,
out
man,
in
it,
May.
it just. Mhm.
Oh, go for it.
Oh, sorry. I think. Oh, there we go. You said, what would you say again? Sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say. Well, you've got the EP coming out in May. You know, you got 6 songs that I think people really ought to hear because so far everything off of it's been fantastic. What else can you tell us is coming down the pipe? Maybe pun intended on that one. That you can tell us without getting in trouble.
Oh, yeah. So, I got another project coming for the fall. God's Grocery Store Aisle 2. Um, so God's Grocery Store Aisle 1 was a bunch of outdoor driven songs with features on them. That's the whole premise of the whole thing, is like having features on all the tracks. We're doing the same thing with a new batch, maybe some people you've heard on the last one, and a bunch of new folks. And these it's been interesting. So a lot, there's like in Nashville, what I've found is a lot of these outdoor derivative songs, like Deer Stand, like The Hunt, that Tracy Bird was on, where it's like these a little bit left-footed um outdoor titles that have a deeper meaning behind them, where it's like a kind of a unique thing. It's not only about the hunting and the fishing. Every now and then we'll get one on there that's strictly kind of about the hunting. One that I wrote a little while back with my buddy Iredine and Phil Billy is called Fast Food. And it's talking about fast food, deer, caribou, goose. Oh, like, when you're out there field to table, that's fast food. So that one's right on the nose, a little bit about like the hunting stuff, but a lot of like there's another new song, and again, we don't know which exact ones are going to be on there, but we've got a lot in the pile. One of my favorites is a song called "Little Pink Camo Hat," and that song is about, when we first got pregnant, I wanted a boy so bad. I was thinking hunting trips and fishing trips. And now, you know, there's a little pink camo hat out there walking through the woods, and it's a different perspective than just hunting. It's, showing her all the different things, and she's pointing at the cottontail bunnies and this and picking up pine cones and all this, this stuff. That's hilarious. And so I'm excited for these meat on the bone songs that are just um coming in the fall with pretty cool stuff. And especially right around hunting season and all the outdoor fall festivities and stuff. It should be really fun. So that's kind of my 2026 in a nutshell. Is I got this EP, the 5 to 9 EP, and I got God's Grocery Store Aisle 2 coming. And believe it or not, we're already talking about music for 27. So it'll kind of, I believe, in the for the foreseeable future, it'll kind of be more like, what would you call it? Like industry standard country music EP at the top of the year. Another aisle of God's Grocery Store in the fall. Like that's our hope. Regular batch of music, another aisle of, like, if however long we can keep it going, and however many times we can get people to keep jumping on songs and do it and make it a fun thing. So
I love it. It's a lot to look forward to, and folks, go give a Styles a new record a listen when it drops. He's already got a few out that you can listen to now. You won't be disappointed with those, and when you stick around to listen to all of them, you won't regret it at all because there's some fantastic songs on there. And man, thank you for sharing your story, sharing a drink with me, and cheers, man, because it sounds like some good things are coming.
Oh, thanks, man. Seriously. Hey, thank you so much, Jonathan, for having me on your podcast and let me share my story. Appreciate you.